Thank you, Lee. Kim has been passionate about museums for most of her life and has been fortunate to visit many across the US and Europe. Kim is always a student of design on how buildings function. Today she will give you tips on how to best make your visits turn into great moments. Please help me welcome Kim Ciesynski, How to Visit a Museum. How to Visit a Museum, Kim Ciesynski.
I love museums. My favorite part about a museum is it's just who we are as a culture, where we came from, what our values, what our beliefs are. It's about learning about the past and celebrating the future, and it enriches our lives. That's what I love about museums. Today I want to take you on a couple-step journey, 3 steps that I want to talk about to get the most out of a museum visit. I want to talk about taking a journey, making a plan, and capturing the moments. First of all, taking a journey. I always pay attention to how things are designed. Design is about manipulating a person in a building, and I love that about design. That's what we do. Be open to the journey that is designed for you. And I have 2 examples of, I think, really well-designed museums, one really large and one small. The first one is the large one, the Holocaust Museum in Washington, D.C. And what I love about this museum is it takes you through all of the emotions and the senses that you have. What they do is they gather you in a group in front of an elevator, and they know how many's in this group, and they give you a passport. And in this passport is somebody that you learn about all the way through the museum. So at the end of each floor, you open up another page and it tells you a little bit more about this person. So you're touching and you're holding a person in your hand. You walk into this elevator and they make it so there's enough people that you're actually touching each other. So it makes it a little uncomfortable. And you rise to the top, and as you rise to the top, it gets very dim, and at the top it's pitch black, so you can't see anything. And then the elevator doors don't open right away. Just enough so that you slightly panicked and go, oh my God, there's something wrong. And then they open to start this kind of devastating journey that you're about to partake. About halfway through the museum, there's this room that you walk into, and they narrow you down to a path, so you have to go single file over this bridge. And on each side of the bridge are mounds and mounds and mounds of shoes, old shoes that were discarded before people walked in to their death. So I could still to this day smell what those shoes smelled like, and almost it was so moist that you could almost taste that old leather. I'll never forget that sense. And at the very end, you're still holding this person in your hand, and by this time you're all wiped out, completely wiped out. And I just remember getting to the end, and you see the sign to finally find out what happens to this person. I remember holding it going, please, please let her live. And I opened it up, and thank God for me, because the person lived, and she immigrated to New Jersey and was a physicist. So it was a good ending for me, but I'm sure that a lot of people get these passports that don't. So this museum takes you through every single emotion that you could possibly believe. Very amazing journey. The small version of going through a journey is the Wilbur D. May Museum in the San Rafael Park. Has everybody been there? Just a few of you? I love this museum, and it's a very small, simple museum that takes you through somebody's life that's from Nevada. It represents Nevada really well. He was an interesting character. There is a room in there that's all filled with dead animals that never again will there ever be a room like this, so it's pretty amazing. And just taking a journey through this tiny museum, I think, represents us all really well, and it takes you on a really lovely journey. So those are 2 examples about just kind of letting go and seeing what's in front of you and taking a journey. The second part I want to talk about is making a plan. What I think is best to do is when you walk into a museum is to get a brochure and to decide on a few things. The first of all is find out what the exhibit is that's there, because exhibits are usually special things that come together that normally are not together. And so throughout the world in the museums that I've been to, it's amazing what you can find in these small exhibits, so always pay attention to that. This is one of the most important things for me, is to decide in advance where you're going to meet when you're separated from somebody. I don't know how many times I've been through a museum and you're with this person and you turn around and then they're gone, or they're gone in a different direction, or you go at a different pace, and then there's that panic of, oh my God, I gotta find them. And you don't wanna do that. So make sure that the end of the floor that you meet them, or you have a certain time, because it's always very difficult to find somebody if you don't make a plan. So do that in advance. Then try to remember not to try to see everything, especially if you're in a large museum. Don't think, and I've done this so many different times, where you're at a really amazing city and this amazing museum, and you think, oh my God, I gotta spend all day here because I'm never gonna be here again. But then you walk out and you're so drained and you saw so much that you're just all kind of numb to everything. And I really think that if you come out of a museum and remember 3 to 4 things, and that's it, something that really touched you, that's like ding, ding, ding to me. I mean, I think that that is all that you need to do. And with kids, it's a little different. Only 2 to 3 hours, I think, is good for a child. That's all you want to do. And if you're in a really large museum, pick 2 areas that might interest them, follow them, don't you leave, and see the museum through their eyes. And it can make for a really great experience, but only stay a short time, because they won't get anything out of it. Finally is capturing the moments. I go to any museum that I'm at, I expect to be surprised. Never fails. I do research on what's in the museum, but it's always something completely different than I think it's going to be that surprises me. Like I mentioned earlier, if you can take away 3 to 4 things that strike me, I'm really good with that. But there's times where you have this moment where it just stops me and I'm mesmerized, or I learn something in that moment. For example, everybody has seen modern art, and I'm sure not one of you has, or probably all of you have at some point gone, what is that all about? But the words, oh, a kindergartner can do that, will never come out of my mouth. And it's because I really feel that in all different kinds of art, modern and otherwise, that maybe I'm not evolved enough to understand it yet. And for example, I saw this Jackson Pollock. It was bigger than this room. It was just huge. Jackson Pollock is the one that dribbled paint from his rafters onto canvas. Never thought that much about it before, but I came up to one, and Jackson Pollock and I had a little moment. I have to say, it was really beautiful. And at that moment, it was so clear to me what a genius he was and how amazing his art is. And that has happened to me so many times, where I've gone to museums and had these really special moments. The Mona Lisa and I had a special moment. The Statue of David and I had a special moment. And I just love those, and I love to capture all those, and it's really just makes museum experiences really wonderful for me. And remember that museums just aren't about going to see art, it's botanical gardens. Textile Museum is my all-time favorite museum in Washington, D.C. So it's all these like little memories that you want to make, and all different things that really make for delicious memories. So let me just wrap up by saying the 3 things that I think are important is to take a journey, allow your experiences to unfold, and really pay attention to how you feel and how this building makes you feel. Second is to make a plan. There's so many things that can go wrong, and if you make a plan in advance, it'll make for a really great time. And then 3, capture the moments. Be open to the unexpected nuggets that you're going to get that can enrich your life. Mr. Ciesynski.